Hello and welcome to your AEW Dynamite review here on Sports and Wrestling Experience. I am your humble host, Cody Davis, live here in the SWX headquarters here in beautiful Louisiana. Tonight we're going to go over the AEW Dynamite that was televised on TNT, what happened in the 2-hour show, and what will eventually happen and what's already booked for the Double or Nothing pay-per-view live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. This was going to take place in Las Vegas, Nevada, as last year's show did, but due to what's going on, that will not happen. Guys, please, if you can, every number helps. Please subscribe to this channel, Sports and Wrestling Experience. That's Experience with an X. Really trying to get the subscribers up, trying to get Twitter followers. Also, Instagram and Twitter at SWX Podcast. Really trying to build that up, trying to build somewhat of an audience. Doing some live tweeting during shows and doing some watch-alongs for the YouTube channel. Just doing whatever I can to build this. And I have big goals for this, and I want to. I'm doing this for fun, but I'm also doing this because I have a goal in mind. And I want this to be fun, first and foremost, but I also want this to be a success. And I want people to, after shows or just anytime they need any kind of, some kind of comic relief or just something to listen to, they can come check me out over here. Let's get right to it. AEW Dynamite tonight opens up with Lance Archer, who will be in the championship. He'll be in the final round against Cody Rhodes at Double or Nothing for the inaugural TNT Championship. We'll get more into that later on. Jake Roberts, who is managing Lance Archer, absolutely fantastic. What an addition for AEW. Jake Roberts comes out cutting a promo that's not exactly suitable for 2020. I'm sure he offended a lot of people. He's talking about how a woman belongs in the kitchen, how a woman should do this and that and take care of this and that. After what he did last week where he was dry humping Brandy and he brought out the snake, I'm sure a certain target audience is not biggest fans of the Hall of Famer Jake the Snake. I think it's fantastic. I mean, if they would have been like in a sold-out crowd tonight with 8,000 people or so, they would have gotten just extreme, huge heat for that. But there's like 15, 20 wrestlers out there and random people up in the upper seats at Daly's Place. No one really knows who they are. But, yeah, hell of an opening. Jake the Snake is arguably one of the greatest on the microphone in the history of pro wrestling, and that's not debatable. He's in my top 5 for sure. Then Cody shows up in a truck, and he runs over like a guardrail. Like, it wasn't very menacing at all. He gets out of the truck, wants to kick Archer's ass. They begin to fight. Archer gets the better end of it. You got Jake on the microphone, basically instructing his guy to beat up Cody. He yells out, "Cody, you're just a squirrel trying to get a nut." And I popped for that. I was like, man, Jake the Snake with a microphone is absolutely fantastic. And I am definitely looking forward to what's ahead for that TNT Championship match at Double or Nothing. Not this Saturday, but next, I believe. You can order it on, I think, Fight TV, the app, or Bleacher Report Live. Will I be watching it live? I'm not sure, but I'll definitely be watching it that night or the next morning. Jurassic Express versus the Best Friends. Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy Jack Perry, or if you ask Jim Ross, it's Jungle Jack, and a lot of people giving him grief on Twitter months ago, and can't tell Jim Ross what to do, man. Let him do his freaking job. Best Friends Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta with Orange Cassidy, or as Jim Cornette says, Pockets. Orange just shows up and doesn't do anything. He's just out there looking cool, and he's got an audience, and I'll give him that. Orange Cassidy has grown on me over time, and I appreciate anybody that grows on me. Heath Slater grew on me. The Miz, who's one of my favorites of all time, I didn't like him at one point, about a year or two. He grew on me, and Orange Cassidy, Mr. Pockets, has definitely grown on me over time. Opens up with Perry and Chuck, and they both end up tagging Luchasaurus. Chuck tags in Trent. Jungle tags in Lucha. I put in my notes, I put Luchasaurus is so damn athletic, he's so good, needs to take off masks to be more of a superstar. And I put that on Twitter. I said Luchasaurus needs to take off the mask down the road and be a star. I mean, is he a star right now? He is. He could be more of a star. No one knows what he looks like. He's a very smart guy, but he sounds like a damn, history professor in college whenever he's talking. Very smart. I've listened to his interviews with Chris Jericho and some other people. Very smart. Very, very, very smart. But they need to build this guy up into a monster, because that's what he is. Trent does a suplex to Jungle Jack that was stiff as hell. Looked like he broke his damn neck. And I put in my notes, I hate the Tope Suicida. It's like AEW presents Topes. It's too much of that move, and it does nothing. They run out, and I hate this move. I hate this move. But you get about 10 to 15 per show, and that's with Raw, SmackDown, NXT, wrestling nowadays. It's tough to watch, but they're going to do what they do. I can't tell them otherwise. Does a Tope Suicida, and Lucha went to go chokeslam Trent. Jungle Boy does a flip onto the Best Friends. They go to commercial. A lot of back and forth. Ray Phoenix interferes, and MJF both interfere. Best Friends get the win. And then, I don't know if y'all saw this, but Wardlow grabs Marco's stunt and just doesn't realize his own strength and just throws him into the guardrail. Didn't look good. Didn't look good at all. Looked pretty damn painful. Wardlow is one big bastard, and Marco's stunt is the equivalent of an 11-year-old child. Let's see. We got some Divas action. This is the Ryan Kennedy section. Guys, you can go follow Ryan at Mr. Kennedy 504 on Twitter. He would love to hear from you. Big wrestling fan. Man with a lot of jobs. He's a jack of all trades, if you will. Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian, Chris Statlander, Britt Baker, who gets pyro for this, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Kenny Olivier, Kenny Omega's, one of his many Japanese schoolgirl fetish girls, Hikaru Shida. Britt attacks Shida, then Ford attacks Chris Statlander. Shida and Chris, basically, they double team Britt for a backbreaker. Sorry, I cannot read my notes. I'm trying over here. The first pinfall wins this match. There's really nothing on the line. Shida is the number one contender as far as the AEW women's rankings. So, I don't know what this match was about. It wasn't really a number one contender match. It was just let's put 4 women in a match. This arguably was one of the better women's matches I've seen in AEW since its inception. I guess the inception was, Double or Nothing last year. I know they didn't start doing TV until October in Washington, D.C., but I know, I think the first official show was AEW Double or Nothing. I could be wrong on that. If I am, please leave a comment under the video. And also, please follow Instagram or Twitter at SWX Podcast. The Facebook page is Sports and Wrestling Experience. That's Experience with an X. And please subscribe to the channel below. Pretty please. Um, I put in my notes, I put Chris Statlander is very impressive to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing her career go forward. Chris is owning this match. She's damn good. She's good looking. She's easy on the eyes. She's a hell of a wrestler, and I really like her. Let's see. Lot of back and forth in this match. They're all getting their stuff in. Sheeta does the high knee to Ford. Sheeta wins. I'm pretty sure Kenny Omega booked this one so he can have his Japanese girl win this match. Guys, please get a gallon of water in a day. Don't get dehydrated. Let's see. Santana and Ortiz versus Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy. Santana and Ortiz come out. Kenny Omega comes out, but then Santana Ortiz attack Omega. Matt Hardy then comes out. He bites Santana. I don't know why he was biting him, but that's just what Matt Hardy does. Let's see. Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is what I put in my notes, and I put it on Twitter. Kenny Omega throwing his arms all over the place, looking like he should be a part of the Spirit Squad from the WWF in 2005 and 2006. If he's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, why does he look like he is choreographing anything and everything he does? It's not needed. Was Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock doing the hands and the jazz hands? No, they were not. That's his thing. I get it, but it's overkill. Overkill. Come on, Kenny. They say you're the best. Drop the hands. Drop the hands. Tremendous wrestler, but acts like a cheerleader too often. That's awesome. Santana and Ortiz controlling the match. Put in my notes. I cannot wait until fans are allowed in arenas. Guys, I really have big plans to go to All Out in Chicago if that is a thing, but it's not looking like it will be. I can only hope. I can only hope. Went there last year, had a hell of a time. Put in my notes. I put Santana and Ortiz are showing off too much. They're doing all this stuff to the crowd. The wrestlers that are ringside. A little too much, but whatever. But it's great to see Matt Hardy in the ring. He's flying all over the place, doing a hell of a job. He's done more in AEW over the past month or so than he has done in WWE in the past year. And they're going to give him a lot of freedom to do whatever he wants to do, and it's going to be very exciting. Matt Hardy goes for the finish. He gets thrown out of the ring. Another tope suicida. Omega flies into Ortiz. Twist of Fate broken up. Omega with the V-trigger, and Matt Hardy pins. Don't remember if it was Santana and Ortiz. Pronouns, pal. Pins him for the 1-2-3. They do a commercial. Up next, Taz interviews Darby Allin, who will be in the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing. I don't know who wins what for this Battle Royal. I'm assuming it's like a number one contendership for a future title. I'm not sure. Darby tells him that he was in third place in something. This interview it started and it ended. I don't know. Another backstage interview. Hikaru Shida. I didn't catch the girl's name doing the interview, but she's very, very attractive blonde. Please comment her name in the comment box if you know who it was. Shida comes out saying she's going to beat Nyla Rose Double or Nothing. And Nyla Rose comes out, and then she hits her with a kendo stick, and she says, "I found your kendo stick, bitch!" And I popped for that because she just yells it, and I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Let's see, we got a commercial break, and up next is Must See Television, and if you follow my Twitter account, you now know that I am a huge Maxwell Jacob Friedman fan. MJF comes out to the same music, but his new theme opens up with, "I'm better than you, and you know it." This guy is an absolute megastar. Maybe not yet, but he will be. versus Lee Johnson, who I'm assuming is making his debut in AEW, 22-year-old guy. MJF dominates this match. He just gets it. Like, there's not, you don't have to go around and do like move, move, move. You don't have to do 10 moves in a span of 60 seconds. You can do 2 moves. Look at the crowd. Who's one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling history? Hulk Hogan. Why? He reads the crowd. There's not a crowd right now, but if you've been watching AEW, you realize that this guy is an absolute megastar, and his time will come. He's already proven it in his storyline with Cody, and he's that damn good. And he's only 24, 25 years old. He has not reached his peak, not even close. But he just gets it in the notes. MJF controls this match the entire time, puts him in a submission, and wins. He grabs a microphone. He says, sorry, my peers don't know how to react to a real wrestler because they're all like booing him. He makes a comment that he tells Jungle Boy that he's ready for him at Double or Nothing, and he has a future match with Marco Stunt. Something about Marco Stunt had an opening, and MJF signed his name. So next week we're going to get MJF versus Marco Stunt, basically in preparation of his match with Jungle Boy. I'm predicting that it's going to be a big interference, and I think Luchasaurus and Wardlow somehow begin a feud next Wednesday. The moment we've all been waiting for all week, we got Pineapple Pete versus Le Champion, the Ayatollah of Rock and Roll, Y2J himself, Chris Jericho. Jericho comes out with his baseball bat and his inner circle. All of them. Sammy Guevara comes out wearing, he's hurt from last week after basically dying when he got run over. Jericho slaps Pineapple Pete. Pineapple Pete looks at the microphone and says, "That's effed up." Gets a little bit of offense on Jericho. He throws him into the turnbuckle. Judas effect early. Jericho pins it for the 1-2-3. And then this is where it gets really interesting. Jericho grabs the microphone, challenging the Elite after what happened last week. He doesn't just challenge him to a match. He challenged him to a Stadium Stampede match. And that's going to happen in the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium. I don't know the name of the stadium. I need to figure that out. But it's connected to Daly's Place, as you saw on Dynamite last week. It's like you go through like an alleyway, and it's right there. I don't know what they're going to do, but those creative bastards will, I'm sure, figure out something really, really good. They challenge the Elite to that match at Double or Nothing. Then the Drone shows up. Vanguard 1 shows up with the Inner Circle shirt Jericho offered him weeks ago. Jericho cuts a promo on the Drone, saying that he has a warrant out for his arrest in a bunch of states for basically doing what he did to the Drone. And Jericho mentions to the Drone that he has a 6th member to the Inner Circle, and his name is Floyd. Floyd is indeed the Bat. And Chris Jericho and Floyd murders Vanguard 1. Guevara, all of them just step over the Drone. Matt Hardy shows up, all upset because that is his creation indeed. They come back from commercial, and probably the biggest news of the night, the TNT Championship match, which will be the tournament that's been going on for a few weeks, between Lance Archer and Cody. The winner of the TNT Championship, the presenter of the title, it's a new title, will be none other than Iron Mike Tyson. I am a huge Mike Tyson fan. I've told people for years, if I could have lunch with 4 or 5 people, we'll sit down, chit-chat, man-to-man, Tyson's at that table. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time. The guy's amazing. Huge fan. Mike Tyson will be at Double or Nothing, which is exciting. I've already made the prediction. Maxwell Jacob Friedman needs to come out, interrupt him, cut one of his typical, dickhead jerk promos, gets under his skin, A big brawl happens. Wardlow takes up for MJF. MJF runs off, basically like, antagonizing Tyson from behind. Huge brawl. Ends up being a huge melee. This could be Tyson and Austin part 2, 22 years later. This has to happen. This has to happen. All right. They show a clip of Jon Moxley being attacked by Brody Lee and the Dark Order from last week. Brody Lee comes out. He tells Dasha, which Dasha looks amazing, as always, the announcer. The former Dasha Fuentes in WWE. The self-proclaimed AEW champion, which she is not indeed. That title belongs to Jon Moxley at the current moment. He is facing SCU's own Christopher Daniels. Lee dominates this match early on. Christopher Daniels, of course, does a tope suicida. Then he does a sweep moonsault. I put hell of a move. A lot of back and forth between Daniels and Lee. Lee dominated this match for the most part. Lee finished the CD with his finisher, and Dark Order celebrates with Brody Lee, and of course he goes back to Dasha saying that he's the self-proclaimed AEW champion. Jon Moxley comes out through the crowd, just like he did with the Shield, and he tells Lee that his AEW career will be over before it starts once he finishes up with him at Double or Nothing. Your typical Jon Moxley promo, just real quick, intense, like off the cusp, just boom, 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 go, go. And then he starts throwing chairs, and he's all intense, and he's doing all his, mean faces. And Dynamite goes off the air with that. Looking forward to next week's Dynamite. It'll be the go home before Double or Nothing. Again, it'll be at Daly's place in Jacksonville. No one knows anything about fans yet. We're still on pause right now. Hoping eventually fans can get into the arenas. Maybe not next week or two, but I just hopefully it's sooner than later. Because we're all chomping at the bit, ready to get this thing going again. Hope you guys enjoyed my review. You guys, please subscribe to this channel right below. Sports and Wrestling Experience. Instagram and Twitter at SWX Podcast. Putting a lot of content out over the next few days. Covering The Last Dance, the ESPN documentary with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. And just doing some watch-alongs. If you have any requests for some certain watch-alongs, please leave a comment below, like wrestling watch-alongs. Just one day at a time, and eventually the podcast will get going sooner than later. And just a work in progress. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope everyone has a great night.